Hello, everyone, here at CRL 360 headquarters, and I am here today with my co-host Lachlan Martin, and a special guest, the Manly coach. Sorry, and how are you?
Yeah, good, mate.
I'm doing good. You?
Pretty good. It's a lovely evening tonight. And tonight we're here to wrap up each game, in round one. It was a good round. Then we're gonna do team of the week. And then we'll go on to the power rankings. And after that, we'll go on to our tips of the week, and that should be it for the episode. So it should be a good one.
Hopefully.
Should we start on the wrap up of each game?
I think we should. Yeah. Let's get into it.
All right. First game was the Roosters v Seagulls. The Roosters lost by 10. I didn't see this one. Can one of you who watched it explain what happened to me?
So, Roosters, they had moments, and they probably should have won this game, to be fair, to their credit. Like, it was down 12-6 with, 15 minutes to go. Daly Cherry Evans gets sin bin for a professional foul, has cost him now a week in the CRL. And then, they're down by 6, but they take the 2. Why did they take the 2? Like, it baffles me that they took the 2.
When I saw the 2, I was incredibly happy. Because I knew that with our players on the field, it wasn't going to be long before they scored, but they opted for the 2 for some reason.
That not only were they was there not long left and they were down by 6, but they're versing a team of 12 against their 13. Like, it baffles me the decision. I'm not sure whether it came from the
2.
I don't know whether it came from the players or the trainers or the coach, but it was it baffles me the decision.
Pretty idiotic, if you ask me. Why would you take 2?
If we go later in the season, right, and Roosters are somehow competing and getting up towards top 5, but they miss it by 1 win, we'll go back to this game and be like, if they won this game, if they had not taken the 2, then we'd be in the finals right now. It absolutely baffles me. I do think there were some good players from that game. Obviously, we'll go over, I guess, quickly the daily endpoints for each for the games. Then when we go over them. So for the game, Harry Grant, Jake Travojevic, James Nesco got the points. Harry Grant, how good was he, though?
Yeah, he was great. He really just carried the team on the back in that game. Honestly, he was by far our best player. There was a few support players around, but
yeah, do you want to tell us about?
He was the main man.
Do you want to tell us about he's been traveling? Obviously, you're his head coach, so obviously you know a bit about him.
Yeah. He's been taking the win pretty well. I think he's gonna have an amazing round 2. I think he's gonna come back and play even better against the Panthers. I think it's gonna be a tight game, so he's looking to take every chance, every opportunity to play well. I think he's gonna be a real contender for the Dally M.
Hot take there. Oh, that's what I'll say. Hot take.
Maybe.
You're still not set on him, are you?
Still not set.
I guess don't worry, he'll prove you wrong.
Better time than ever to move on to our second game of the round. Panthers versus Rabbitohs.
This game was as close as it could get. This was a really good game to watch.
There were so many players that just had brilliant moments. We saw, obviously, the talk of the town was Paul Turner. Come off the bench, usually known as the halfback in reserve grade. Came on, played in the second row and scored a try, made a line break. He didn't finish any daily endpoints, but he was just, it was out of pretty much nowhere.
Honestly, I thought Paul Turner was one of their better players. I thought he provided some real impact off the bench, and I'm excited to see how he plays against Manly next week. It's actually kind of scary.
Yeah, he'll be lined up against him.
I wouldn't be scared of him.
Okay,
just game plan against him, and now you know he's gonna play second row. Maybe you can game plan against that, and then you can stop him, use the big shots, and because he's not too big, is he?
He's pretty one of the smallest second rows I've ever seen. He's I mean, that's why he's usually a halfback. But I guess they're throwing him in there just to see what he can do. Maybe he's going to play a bit more of a ball-playing role at second row. You know, he'll help out Cleary and Luai. We'll have to see how that turns out, doesn't it?
I'm kind of shocked to not see Isaac Kago given the run there, or is he not?
I think he's
Isaac Kago.
I think
Where's
he's still at
Isaac
the club.
Kago playing?
I think he's still at the club. I just don't think he was chosen. Interestingly enough,
I think the Paul Turner move was actually really bold and smart in the end, because he came on at around about halftime when a lot of the forwards were already kind of tired. So Turner, being a small body, being agile and quick, he kind of just tore through the middle of the Rabbitohs.
yeah,
I didn't see the game, so I did tell you what he did. So I don't know what he was like.
I mean,
I didn't see a lot of these games.
I mean, well, I think like we all sort of saw it round one, and we saw Paul Turner on the bench, 73 rated. Don't know what he's going to do. And then he scores a try, gets a line break too. I mean, he wasn't. I don't think he was good enough to get in daily aim points. Well, obviously, since I hand out the daily aim points, but he probably would have been there if there was a fourth pick. I would have given it to him.
Yeah.
I guess it's some better time than ever to move on to the next game, boys.
Yeah. Next game was the Knights v the Eels. And the Eels ended up showing why they are actually going to be a good team to watch. I think that they really shown why people are really just going against them. The Eels are a hard team to predict, man, but they proved why they can be premiership contenders. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
I can't, like, we all sort of studied last week and said Knights 6, Eels 7. So I sort of thought this game would be a bit closer than it was. In the end, the Eels were leading 18-0 at halftime. They probably, and to be honest, they probably let Knights off the hook a bit. They sort of like chilled off in the second half, let them just sort of troll around a bit. They ended up being 6-all second half, but like they were brilliant in that first half. My God,
I think the Knights are kind of lucky to be only down 18 in their point differential, so it's kind of like
they were handed an opportunity at the start of the game. I don't know if you guys remember, but the Eels dropped it off the kickoff, or they knocked it on off the kickoff. The Knights could have gone on from there and just blown the game open, but they didn't. They missed that opportunity.
Yeah, it sort of started similar to the Eels Raiders game in the trial match. You know, I don't know if they knocked it on, but I know Raiders had a lot of possession early. And I think at like one point, Eels were up like 6-0, 12-0, and they had 39% of the ball. Very similar game. I know in this game they definitely had a lot more possession of the ball, but you know they definitely have shown that they have a very resilient defensive line.
Yeah, I think the Eels have one of the best defensive lines in the comp.
At the moment,
I would actually say that I think they've got the most well-rounded team. Like, you look at certain teams that they're really strong in attack, but not so great in defense, right? Like the Raiders Sharks game, it was just a try-scoring festival, right? I think the Eels are just really solid in attack and defense, and we've seen that now with two pretty big scorelines from the Eels in round one and in the trial match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I think like another talking point was of course Channel Harris, the Vita off the bench. Yeah, I don't think many people expected him. Similar to Paul Turner actually, made a spike at prop. Not known for his prop. I think it was better to help around the middle. Sort of did help around the middle. Used a bit of agile, scored a double, and one of the tries he scored, he ran over one of the Knights' second rowers. So he's definitely someone to watch out for now.
Yeah, sure.
We heard of course, I think he's definitely been inspired. Obviously, last week we heard around after the trial game. You know, the Eels coach had to talk about how he was a bit disappointed with how Channel Harris to play. Obviously, ended up giving the 5'8" role to Dylan Brown, but he still makes an impact off the bench. Channel Harris to Let's see how he goes there.
I think Chanel Harris-Tavita is going to be a really good impact player off the bench. I think it's going to this trend of him playing really well in short periods of time is going to continue.
Yeah, well, we could see him even contend for surprise packet or best at the bench if he keeps playing like this. We'll have to see.
Maybe. I mean, Dylan Brown. If if he doesn't play well, he could be easily knocked out. Of that.
Oh, I'm not sure I would play Chanel Harris Tavita at 5/8, to be honest.
But I don't rate Dylan Brown.
I think that the reason that he's gone into this position is I think Harris is probably one of the bigger halves in the comp. Like we know him for like, of course, in the NRL he puts on a lot of big shots. We've seen him when we put on shots on like people like Brandon Smith before. So I think that he's a lot better playing in the middle of Dylan Brown. But I think if you throw Dylan Brown in there, he'd just get absolutely smashed.
Yeah.
So I think if you're gonna play Dylan Brown, you either play him at 5/8 or you don't play him at all.
I think you don't play him at all, to be honest, because Dylan Brown, he's shown before he's not really that great passing the ball. He's really not really that. He's too predictable at times. Whereas Chanel Tavita runs well, and he also is a good playmaker. So that's why I'd give Chanel Harris Tavita the start over him. To be honest, that's why I would give him. That's why I would be giving him over Dylan Brown. Dylan Brown isn't that good of a playmaker from what I've seen.
We'll have to see.
I think Dylan Brown wasn't that bad in that game.
I think he wasn't necessarily that bad. I think he just...
He wasn't that great either, but he wasn't that bad.
Yeah, he wasn't. He didn't do anything wrong. He also didn't like do anything really. Like if you look at his stats here, 87 run meters. He had this kicking game. Actually scored a try and set up one. So I actually forget.
He got an error and a penalty conceded though.
That is true.
He's been involved in 50% of their tries.
I mean that's true. Carrigan's been involved in 100% of them, but Liam still doesn't think anything of it.
No, I'm not rapping on people that do that.
Anyway,
didn't you before?
Give him time. Give him time. If he has one more week, I'll consider it.
All right. He will. I'm telling you, Harry Grant's going to be the next big thing.
All right. Well, I guess
in the CRL.
I guess we're going to the Raiders, Sharks. Now, obviously, Liam, obviously you're the winning team of this one. The Raiders, though.
Not very happy.
The Raiders, they just I was actually pretty impressed that they're keeping with the Sharks to half time. Actually, they're leading 6-0 up until 30 or so minutes to half time, weren't they?
I think it was about 20.
20? Yeah, it was up until the Sharks scored their first try. They're leading 6-0, and I'll actually they kept with the Sharks to half time. It's just what happened after half time. They just sort of let them go, and obviously we got out to a 24-6 lead. What sort of do you guys have any views of what happened?
The Raiders, I think the Sharks, the boys were told at halftime they need to get their asses out there and really try let the shackles off them. You've been playing. The Raiders haven't been that good. We can punish them now. So I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, I think the story of the game was about the fullbacks. Both Nickel Klockstad and Pappenhausen played really well, actually.
Pappenhausen had 11 runs for 256 meters. If I'm correct, that's about 25 meters per run.
Yeah, he played. Yeah, he even scored. I think one of what will end up being the try of the week when I get it edited. He basically ran 90 meters from a hitter. That was an incredible try.
I remember that. That was a really great try from Pappenhausen.
Yeah, he sort of just got around.
Kind of cut through all of them.
Yeah, it was. So it was actually really good to see from him. Yeah, was that actually their first try? Was that in the second half? Might have been their first
it was in the second half. I feel like it was in the second half.
I thought it might have been their first try. Maybe it wasn't.
I thought it was their first try.
Yeah, I thought it was their first. Maybe it wasn't. Try. But anyway, I think we'll move on to the final game of the round. This one, I know people are going to disagree with me. I actually think this was the game of the round. It just had everything. Even though there was no great finish or anything like that, the game was intense right up to the end.
I feel I don't know what's happening to the Broncos.
I think the Broncos selection has been off, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, I know that the Broncos. I know Broncos coach. I talk to him a lot, but yeah, their selection hasn't been. I think their team was this week's better, which we'll get into a bit later. But
I just want to go through their round one team list, real quick. I think the fact that they have Walsh and Hunt on the bench
Yeah, I don't think that's right. I think I need
probably
at least.
isn't a great idea.
I think I need at least one forward just in there.
Also, I think Anthony Milford at 5'8", probably not their best option.
Yeah.
And
way-
they've changed that in round 2, but
I think another
Also-
interesting decision is playing, which I think it can work if he has a good team around him. Brimson at centre is another interesting option.
that's what I was just about to say. I think Brimson at center isn't a great option either.
I think he gets the job done when he's.
Look, to be
Yeah,
honest,
he's
I
still-
actually think that he was, other than Pat Carrigan, I think he was one of their better players, to be honest, in that first half. I know people are going to disagree with me, but I think, like, every time, like, he didn't make any errors, and every time the ball sort of came his way, he sort of just did his job.
I think AJ
Yeah,
Brimson.
And
he's-
also looking at
I played
their-
him there before. I played him in other sim leagues there. He's not that. He's pretty good there. So I know what I'm talking about when I speak about AJ Brimson at centre. And I feel like he does the job really well there. So I think he'll do fine there. And I like the decision of him at centre.
And honestly, looking at their squad, they don't really have too many other choices at center. Obviously, they've got Kotoni Staggs, which they decided to play at fullback in that game. But other than that, I think the only other option is really Petahiku.
Yeah, and I think the issue, I know people are going to, like, I think the issue they've sort of run into, Broncos trying they've signed a lot of halves. They've signed Brimson, Walsh, Hunt, Milford. 4 halves since the CRL's begun, and they're trying to fit them all into the squad, but it's just not working.
They've also still got Gamble,
Yeah, that's true.
Albert Kelly as well.
Yeah, and I think the only way they can sort of like fix this issue, if they desperately need all 4 of those players in the squad, is I think if they really want to keep them in, I think another option could be potentially to chuck Reece Walsh in the centres and drop Cobo. Other than that, I don't think like I do like the decision to play Stacks at fullback. I think that was a decent decision. Like I think it sort of worked out.
I think he
But
played all right, yeah.
I just think that I don't think Milford should be playing 5'8" at the moment, to be honest.
I think Reece Walsh should be playing 5'8", if I'm being honest. And I'm curious what you guys think about that.
Yeah, well,
Reece Walsh.
I mean, we saw his massive kick. Who else saw that kick where he kicked the crossfield was caught by Tommy Talau?
Yeah, I think Reece Walsh should be playing 5'8". If it was my team, I'd be picking Walsh at 5'8".
Yeah, I think that could work out, to be honest.
Maybe.
Another as we're talking about the back selection team by the Brisbane team, we can't go past how good like the Tigers played though. To be fair, to their
Yeah,
credit,
the Tigers blew my mind. I was really impressed with how they played.
they just
especially their forwards.
they just defended their ass off. Like I think the 2 starting front rows, Josh Kerr, Stefano Utokumanu, got the team off to the right foot. They didn't finish the game, either of them. They were both on the bench when the game ended. But they got their team on the right defensive mindset for Tamo and Musgrove when they came on. Or whoever it was at the time, might have even been Offagowie.
It was Offagowie.
Yeah, when they came on, they got them in the right mindset to just keep pushing forward and keep defending. And there was a few opportunities at the end, right? Hope Finals made a break down the wing with a minute left. Stags with about 5 or 6 minutes left, caught the ball off a kick and nearly went over. But they just kept defending and they still ended up taking the victory. I think Dane Laurie himself made a try to save a tackle twice in the last 10 minutes.
I also think that their forwards attack was amazing. They had 5 forwards who had over 100 run meters.
Did they really?
Yeah.
That was That's...
Oh no. One has 99.
Oh, so
they had five forwards that got over 99 run meters.
that's a stat in itself. That is incredible, actually. That is wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good stat, actually. I think to the Tigers' credit, we had them last in the power rankings. They won't be lost anymore. They played exceptional, and I think Broncos have to go back to the drawing board for next week.
I think just the way that the Tigers played showed real heart. Everyone's been putting them down in the preseason, and I think they just really, even in their trial game, they just showed that they can do more than just lose.
Yeah, well, obviously they versed the Broncos in the trial game, lost that game, won that game, sorry, and they won it with 5 minutes left or something. And then they come out here, the score's 12-6 after 15 minutes. A great attacking show to start the game. But then they no points for the rest of the game, or 10-6, sorry, and then they get a penalty goal. But same thing, two tries to one after 15 minutes. They never get another try for the rest of the game. It was a show, to be honest. And Tigers should hold their head highs going into next week.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's about time that we want to move on to the team of the week now, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm ready.
All right, I guess so. I think what I will do is we'll sort of just talk about each position, talk about what they did well, give a few stats, and we'll move on to the next one. Does that sound good?
Yep.
So Liam, you take us away.
Alright, so number 1 was Ryan Pappenhausen. He had 256 run meters, off 11 runs, of course, and he had a try, like the field almost. He was awesome.
He was
Try of the week.
He was awesome. Like I think I think I did actually gave 3 points to Charles Clockster, but you could definitely make an argument Pappenhausen deserves it. I think Pappenhausen played incredible. I think we took a vote and they voted both Pappenhausen. I voted Nick Clockstad, so we gave it to Pappenhausen, but he definitely played still incredible in my opinion.
Yep. So the wingers were Savo and Garrick. We'll start with Savo. What were your thoughts on Savo?
Yeah, he was incredible. He was down that wing. He made 4 line breaks. He was just everywhere. He even did a massive awesome flick pass that we never seen Rogan before to keep the ball back in the field of play.
Yep. So the other winger was Ruben Garrick. I think he had 9 runs for 228 run meters. He was incredible.
Garrick was really great.
Almost every time they kicked the ball to him, he kept on making steps and just kept on. And I think he almost scored his length of field try as well. So he was awesome.
He did score a try as well, so.
Yeah, he was really good. I think Jilly's probably a bit regretting dropping him now.
Actually, no, I'm not. I'm actually really happy with my combination of Saab and Watani Zalesniak.
Alright, if you say so.
I would rather Garrick there, to be honest.
I'd rather Garrick over both of them, to be honest, but you're the coach. I'm just the commentator guy, alright? Just leave me out of this.
Yeah, we'll leave you out of that. Our halves were two Jeromes.
We've got centers.
Oh, centers. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, centers. Yeah, you haven't done nothing. Nah, centers. Will Penasini and Campbell Graham. Will Penasini, I think he had, from memory, about 115 run meters, 17 runs. Pretty good for a center, if you ask me.
He actually scored a really good try, in my opinion. It was a great ball from whoever threw it out, and then he started a bit of work to get around at one defender, and then still pushed his way over the line.
Yeah, pretty good.
I honestly felt like watching it live. I felt like any time that Penasini touched the ball, something was going to happen. That's just how I felt. He was really great, and he was really dangerous.
Yeah, he just always looked. Every time he touched the ball, he looked awesome.
So who was the other center was?
Campbell Graham.
What were your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think Campbell Graham. Look, he wasn't the most notable player in that game. Obviously, there's a lot of players that there wasn't many options for centers. It's one of the hardest positions to pick, but he still made 3 line breaks, made 72 run minutes, which is decent for a center. Wasn't the most notable player, but he played decent. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll move on to the next the halves, the 2 Jeromes, Jerome Hughes and Jerome Malua. Jerome Malua, the standout. He played awesome. Jerome Hughes got in there solely because of his kicking game. I thought his kicking game as a Sharks player was actually a really good. He was really good in his kicking game. Every single in Rugby League 4, I don't think one kick went anywhere near the winger. So it was good kick. It was a great kicking game from him.
Yeah, I think his kicking game was really good. He made 222 kick meters from 5 kicks. That's like an average of what? Like
45?
45 or so, yeah, kicks.
He also had
Wait,
the
this-
most kick meters by about 50 meters for the entire round.
And he had
So-
5 kicks too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think his kicking game was probably up there with the best we may see in the competition for a while. I mean, like the only player got close, I believe, might have been Dylan Brown. Was that the closest?
It was.
Who?
It was
Yeah.
about 170 something. So
160, yeah, that's what he had.
no,
Who was
Mitch,
it?
yeah, it's 176 off 5 kicks.
Hines was almost second, I thought. Hines had about something like.
Oh yeah, sorry,
I
no,
thought
Mitchell Pearce had second play.
Yeah,
most
Mitchell
kicks.
Pearce.
Yeah.
Hines was like, I think Hines had 163 or something. So
5.
65, 165.
Yeah, well,
He wasn't that far off.
before we get a bit off track here, we'll go on to I guess our props here. Yeah, it's Stefano Utoikamanu and James Harris. What
Oh, talk about Utoikamanu. He was amazing.
Yeah, as I said before, he really set the tone for like he was one that I think him in particular, along with Josh Kerr, probably if it wasn't for the fact he probably would have been in the team if it wasn't for the fact that James Harris also played really well. Like Stefano Utoikamanu just set the tone for the entire game from his first stint.
Yeah.
I believe that let me just check this before I say anything. I believe I know he didn't have one. For some reason I thought he scored a try and he didn't, but he still made 140 meters. He made 4 line breaks in attack. As I mentioned before, the Tigers forward pack, they were amazing, but he was definitely the standout, in my opinion. And then along with James Harris, yeah, he was great for Penrith. He definitely set his mark on the game. You know, he's always just solid, but this week he was definitely exceptional. You know, he had 132 run meters, 3 line breaks. You know, he was just always up there. He was leading Penrith from the front without having that C next to his name. So great job.
Our second rowers were Keon Kolomatangi and Joseph Tarpany. They were both really good. Keon didn't get to see his game, but what I've heard, he was exceptional, and Tarpany was also exceptional as well. So he ran for like 150. I got to see that game, so he was actually really good. I noticed him every time. From what I felt, every time he touched the ball, I was scared. So.
Yeah, well, Keon Kolomatangi for starters, he made 5 line breaks, which for record is more than Latrell Mitchell made, and I think more than probably I assume Edwards made.
More than most fullbacks.
No, I think though, never mind. Edwards did make more line breaks, but it was more than Latrell Mitchell. He made the most line breaks for his team, which is surprising for a second rower to make 5 line breaks. And who was the other guy, sorry? Do you have a second row? Oh, Joseph Tarpany. I can't remember. I think, yeah, he played decent. So in the second row.
He was 157 run meters. That's better than decent.
Oh, yeah, that is better than decent. My bad. Yeah, 1 tackle break, 3 line breaks. He was just up the middle helping Raiders. You know, he inspired his team to try to at least make a decent comeback, and he did have a decent shot at it, but, you know, came down just short. But they still played, I think at least Tarpany played really well. Probably their standout from the game. I guess we'll go on to the final player from the team of the week. Or sorry, not the final player, final starting player. Because you actually do have a bench here, which will get into the criteria for the bench. But our lock for this week is actually Pat Carrigan. What are our thoughts on his game?
I didn't get to see it, so I can't really comment too much. But
yeah, I think
he's good.
Oh, go on,
I thought Pat Carrigan looked really good in a losing team. I thought that he was by far their best player. He played really well through the middle. He had lots of runs. I think about 150 run meters as well. Quite a lot of tackles. And I think he even got some kicks in too. He was just really good.
I think he topped the tackle count for the entire round with 26 there. He had 1 missed tackle in all of that. That's incredible. He also made 4 line breaks, 5 tackle breaks. He'd be close, in my opinion. Despite being on a losing team, he'd be close to player of the round, in my opinion.
Who?
Pat Carrigan. He was just incredible. Yeah. He was.
If that team just had 1 more Pat Carrigan,
they would have.
1 more Pat Carrigan and they win.
1 more Pat Carrigan. Just replace Anthony Milford with Pat Carrigan. You win.
Exactly.
Good idea.
Yep.
Carrigan at 5'8".
Yep. But it would work. Just trust me on that one. Anyway, I guess we'll move on to the bench. So the way we done the bench is I'll quickly explain this just for people at home. So the way it works is that basically for bench, it's basically done for when they played on the weekend. So for example, the 14, like our 14, the player wearing the 14 on the bench had to play to the 14 on the weekend. Same with 15, 16, 17. So for example, a good example was we couldn't. Let me just quickly go to. We couldn't include both.
Charles Fox though.
We couldn't include Charles Leclerc because he was a competing with Rob Hoppenanza for the fullback role. We couldn't include both Harris DeVito and Blake Braylee because they were never mind. I meant Blake Braylee and Paul Turner because they were both wearing the 16th jersey. That's just an example though. I guess we'll go on to the 14th player on the bench, which I guess sort of gave it away earlier. Chandler Harris DeVito. I mean, we've already talked about it, but he was exceptional.
Yeah, I thought I talked about it earlier, but I thought Chanel Harris DeVito just provided a lot of spark and kind of just tore through the middle of the nights. He had quite a few line breaks from what I remember.
He
I
scored.
think in rugby league the key is having those agile players coming off the bench.
Yeah.
So I think if you have them, you can really break.
I mean,
let's
just give you an idea of how good he was. 5 runs is all he had. 146.
17 minutes.
146 run meters in 17 minutes with 3 line breaks and 2 tries. That means for 3 out of his 5 runs ended in line breaks. 2 out of his 5 runs ended in
tries.
Yep.
That's about a 50%, 45 or 40, about 45% chance.
It's 40%. 40% chance. 40% of his runs ended in tries. That's how good he was.
About 45% of each, that's surely the most. 45% of your runs, he's getting a try. So if you have that, oh my God, that's amazing, bro. I don't think anyone beats it because
he was exceptional. And the only thing that took him off getting player of the game was pretty much that he only played 17 minutes.
Yeah.
He didn't play that much, so you can't really judge him as a full game he played. It was why he got given 1 point in Dalian, but he still was incredible.
I would actually like to see Chanel Harris DeVito go into the 17 position and come on at halftime to give him 40 minutes.
Yeah,
I think if he gets a few more minutes,
be good.
Then...
But I think you're doing that. I think you have to play him at lock.
Or prop, yeah. Lock or prop.
You can't play him at prop because it's just I don't let the coaches play to put them at prop. But you could chuck him on at lock. I think would be a good idea. Even second row. I think second row would also be great.
I think it's the same with Paul Turner in the fact that he kind of just at second row he could just tear through the middle the same way that he did. So I think put him in 17, put him in at second row or lock, and let him go for longer.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. So our next player on the bench, we have Martin Tapau. What do you thoughts on his game, boys?
As his coach, I'll go first. I thought he was one of our more solid players through the middle. I like the impact that he gave off the bench. I think he made quite a few line breaks or 1 line break in a short amount of time. I thought he was he just provided a little bit more for the team, and coming on and giving the big boys a break in Adam Fenor-Blake and Jesse Bromwich.
Yeah, I don't think with Martin Tapau, he didn't do overly enough. He did enough for his job. He just had to come for 20 minutes, go out, absolutely hammer the opposition, then come off. That's all he has to do, and I think he did that just fine.
Yep. Yeah. Number 6 then.
We have Blake Braylee.
I thought Blake Braylee was phenomenal.
Yeah, look, if it wasn't for obviously as I mentioned earlier, it was pretty much between him and Paul Turner for that 16 role. I gave it to we decided Blake Braylee just over him just because I think he had a little bit better stats. Yeah. He scored a try, set up a try. I think those were the only. So he basically was involved in 2 out of 3 tries that were scored while he was on the field, which is great. And I think that he just he was really good. He was solid out of the hooker, and I think I actually said this live commentating that Blake Braylee he'd be a starting hooker at most clubs. It's just the fact that he has Brandon Swift now who's come in front of him.
I think the scary thing for my side, the reason I ended up putting him there was because I knew that Brandon Smith, he'd be phenomenal with tired bodies when he had tired bodies. So if I took him off for 20 minutes and then got him back on a prop, I think, and he's also and the agile, even though he's not that small, he'll still be able to run through those gaps and beat those tired forwards. So that's a difference to Brandon Smith, and that's why I ended up playing Brandon Smith taking him off for Braylee. So, and it made sense too.
I think it'll work. I think Brandon Smith, around some tired bodies. I believe he scored a try. He actually scored a pretty long range try.
He did, yeah. I think he scored about an 80-minute try.
Yeah, he just ran up through the middle and just ran over top of the fullback and just got away from them.
Yep, it just shows he's not slow.
And the final player, I guess we should move on to the final player on the team of the week. We actually have Dylan Walker. So it was a bit quiet. He wasn't the most active player, however. He was the only one that had decent stats. He scored a try, he made one line break, made a decent amount of beaters, considering he didn't play that long. Obviously, Jilly, what were your thoughts on this game being his coach?
I thought that he did the exact job that I wanted him to do. And that was to just to provide some speed to the middle. And that's exactly what he did. He just tied bodies, got some speed going, and I thought he did well enough that I've started him this week.
Yeah, obviously in Daily Cherry Evans' absence, you sort of had to start either him or bring someone else in.
It was a hard choice between Clifford and Walker.
Yeah, I honestly think it's a good decision, but we'll get into that later when we're talking about the games this week. But I guess that's it for the team of the week.
I would rather have Clifford over Walker, to be honest. But, that's just my personal preference. I don't really see much in Dylan Walker. That's just me. I think Clifford has a lot more spark, and Clifford has a lot more in him.
Here's my thing. I actually agree with Jilly on the fact that Dylan Walker's been in the team last week. He played good. Why not give him a crack?
Yeah, it was more of a I know that Dylan Walker's going to perform, whereas with Jake Clifford, I'd be taking a risk, especially since Jake Clifford hasn't been in the team. Dylan Walker's he's in the team of the week. Dylan Walker's played well. I don't know why I wouldn't just play Dylan Walker.
Yeah, especially since Dylan Walker.
I was going back and forth between Clifford and Walker.
Yeah, I think especially playing alongside someone like Richard Pearce who can, even though he's been playing 5'8" for the Seagulls thus far, he can play in that halfback role and play that halfback role and then I think he'll do great with Dylan Walker bouncing off him. Well,
I don't know though. If Dylan Walker doesn't play too well, I hope that you see why I'm saying Clifford would have been over him, but I don't know. I just think Clifford, I think if Walker's bad, I think Clifford deserves the next chance at it.
I mean, it wouldn't matter.
I don't think he'll get another chance because Cherry Evans will be back in the team.
Yeah. Unless
Cherry Evans is a shocker.
I'm not dropping Cherry Evans, mate.
Anyway.
Cherry Evans, I don't even like Cherry Evans, to be honest, so.
Okay, well, let's move on then before we get into a heated boxing match here. You guys will have to bring your gloves next time we have you on, Jilly. You guys clashing heads all night.
Sure,
You guys are clashing heads all night.
Breakdown.
You guys are clashing heads all night. Harry Grant first. Now it's this Clifford and Dylan Walker thing now about Cherry Evans. We'll just move on for now. I guess we're going to our power rankings then, which we've got a movement actually. Well, apart from the top three, which is the exact same as last week. Do you want to just go briefly over each team, how they performed this week while we kept them the same?
Yep.
Alright, so the first thing we have is the Panthers. Obviously, Fleur is going to drop them. They're first coming into round one. Still our first.
They performed.
Yeah, they performed great against the Rabbitohs. I think they'll probably pick quiet. Weren't the best in the first half, but they ended up bringing it home in the second half, winning by 4 points. Fleur going to drop them.
I don't know.
I mean, we have a top three clash here between the Panthers and Seagulls. I'm pretty confident that whoever wins this week that game will more than likely be first. afterwards.
I think if Seagulls win though, maybe the Sharks could go first, but
It depends. Well, it depends on how they perform then too.
yeah,
But
because Sharks, it's sort of like a thing where you go, well, the Sharks were above, so kind of like you can't like sort of don't jump above a team that didn't do anything wrong, you know.
yeah, but I think for now, then of course that's sort of risk we have second. We have second Sharks. They played better. I think they could have potentially jumped on Panthers had they put the nail in the coffin towards the end of the second half rather than letting the Raiders get back into the game.
Yeah, true. I think I wasn't happy with the end of the game. I just didn't think I didn't think that any of I didn't like any of that. So
Yeah, obviously
really didn't.
they didn't sort of
Yeah,
like.
look, there's something we can agree on. I didn't like the end of my game either. I thought the boys were really sloppy and gave away too many penalties, and shouldn't have let the Roosters back into that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, to the Sharks' credit, they did put the nail in the coffin at the beginning of the first half, or second half. Sorry, it's just at the end they sort of let the Raiders just jump back into it for a bit.
I should have. That killed my point differential. We should have been sitting in first, I reckon, or second.
Potentially, yeah. But for now we have the Seagulls in third. Obviously your team, Gilly. Yeah, the top three unchanged from last week. There's no reason to change them. They all played good. I think the reason we have the Seagulls at the moment is they've won the least convincingly out of all three teams, in my opinion, and against the worst opponents.
Yeah, I'm actually really disappointed with the way that the boys played. I think you don't give away enough penalties to get your captain sent to the bin. I just think that it's appalling, and it's going to affect us against the Panthers. We need a full strength squad, and like I said, Walker's less of a risk, but it's still it's still a risk to change our halves pairing.
I mean, you have to
So-
vote. Walker's Cherry Evans, was sent to the bin. 1 week penalty, 1 week suspension. Hopefully, you guys can get him back next round 3 though, and he can get back into the swing of things. Fourth place though, we have our biggest movers thus far, the Parramatta Eels. How good are they?
Awesome.
They've been phenomenal. I think after
We're
the trial game-
underranking them. I sort of said to you before in the last week of the CRL 360, I sort of said, well, the Eels, we're ranking them a little bit too low, so maybe we should move them a bit higher. So.
Yeah, we moved them to 8th, and even after hearing that, I sort of thought, yeah, I'm probably rating them a lot. So I literally changed the ladder prediction mid recording, without saying anything, and then just sort of came up with it on the spot because I thought I put Eels way too low. And well, they're definitely showing us. We moved them to 4th. You could argue Rabbitohs could be above them, but we've put them at 4th for now. Obviously,
No,
it's gonna.
I can't say Rabbitohs are above.
Yeah, I can't either. Not gonna lie.
I can't say a team that's lost is a team that can go above a team that's won convincingly that way. There's no way in my mind the Rabbitohs are in 4th. The way they performed is just not a point.
Well, I guess it sort of gives away who's 5th. Then we have Rabbitohs in 5th. Obviously they were decent against Panthers. They only lost by 4 to the Panthers, who are currently 1st.
Yeah, I thought they were solid enough and they showed potential. I think they were leading for most of the game, from what I remember.
Yeah, well, I think they're leading at halftime 12-6, and then it was 12-all. And then, I think, I don't remember what play it was, but someone over in the corner. And Panthers ended up winning only by 4. But, it was definitely tight right down to the wire. And, well, Panthers ended up taking the victory. But it could have gone either way, that game.
Yeah.
6th, then we have a team that surprised. I think people are going to be surprised this team has stayed in the same position, hasn't moved at all. Is the Raiders.
If I had my own one, I would move the Raiders down to 8th, but they're staying 6th.
I think the Raiders are a tricky team to predict at the moment because they've lost against the Eels in the trial game pretty badly. And they probably should have lost by at least 20 against your Sharks.
Well, look, if they didn't come back at the end like they did, switch it on at the last second, have maybe a last second comeback. I think if it wasn't for that, they would have probably dropped down to 7th or even 8th. But I think the fact that I also think it helps that the Knights lost so badly, who are in 7th. If it wasn't for the fact that Knights lost so bad, they probably do also drop. But for that reason, I can't put them below the Knights at the moment.
I think it's hard to rank a Raiders team that has so much strike lower than they are.
Yeah.
All it takes is for these players to click, and they could genuinely be one of the bigger contenders in the competition. I mean, they have Tamalolo, Papali'i, Fotoweka, Lomax, Adokar, Whiten, Welsh, Tabuai-Fidow
Yeah,
as their top 8.
they are like
That's
that is a considerable strike power, and I think look, I think this weekend is going to be a big game for them. They're versus the Rabbitohs, who are in 5th. You know, if I think this game is going to tell us a lot about both these teams. Both these teams have like losses in round 1. Obviously, we'll get to it a bit more later, but like it's going to be massive for these teams moving forward, especially in our power rankings at the moment.
all I'll say about that game is that whoever wins that game makes finals, and whoever loses that game doesn't, in my opinion.
Be cool. We'll get onto the game a bit later anyway. It was just the Rabbitohs Raiders game, Liam, but we'll get onto it a bit later. 7th, obviously, we've talked about it earlier, the Knights. Yeah, I just can't. Is the reason like just because the Knights lost so badly is the reason I can't put them I can't keep them in 6 or wherever they were before.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I could feel
Oh,
like
sorry,
the
they were in
Knights.
5th. They were in 5th before. That's why.
I feel like the Knights, it could be even lower. I think the Tigers probably deserve to be
Yeah,
up
the
one.
Tigers are like nipping at their heels at the moment. They could definitely like, and obviously the Tigers are in 8th. You know, they are definitely like trying to compete with them.
We'll get into this later, but I feel like the Knights, similar to the Broncos, I feel like the Knights' selection has just been slightly off.
Yeah, obviously we'll get to it a bit later. So I guess we'll get into our bottom 2 teams. Talk about every other team. We'll briefly talk about the Tigers. We go into a bit more depth, I guess. Tigers, they were very good in the weekend. I think they definitely deserve the 8th placing, moving up 2 places. They have a very big game this weekend against the Eels. You know, if they get absolutely flogged, it could be bad for them. Well, if they compete with them, you know, they could be a shock premiership contenders. I
The
guess.
only thing that scares me about the Tigers is their lack of depth.
Yeah, if they get injuries or like suspensions later in the season, they could definitely struggle.
Yeah.
The 9th team we will have at the moment is the Sydney Roosters, who dropped. I think they dropped a place over since last week, and I think they dropped the place mainly because their game against the Seagulls.
They're actually the exact same.
Are they?
Oh no! They have dropped one. Sorry.
Yeah, they have dropped
one place.
And I think the reason they've dropped the place is mainly because although they were versus the Seagulls who are 3rd, the Seagulls weren't good by any means, in my opinion. At least I know you're here, Jillian. You might disagree with me.
No, I actually agree with you. I agree with you. I don't think that we were up to scratch. I think we probably should have lost that game, or it should have been a lot closer.
Yeah, it's obviously some controversial decisions that led to the Roosters' loss. They definitely could have won that game. And I think because of that, they definitely, you could argue they could be last. However, we've given 10th place in the power rankings to the Broncos.
I could argue that I'd actually, something that I'd do is I'd probably actually put the Raiders, the Roosters. I'd make an argument to put them over the Raiders, and I'd actually make a huge argument over the Rabbitohs too.
I think it's a similar situation to the Raiders, where the Roosters have a lot of strike power, and they have a good team. Although they haven't done many signings, they've already got a good team to start with. I think that it's similar to the Raiders, where if they click, they could be quite scary.
Yeah, they could be, and I think there are teams to look out for still. And obviously we have the 10th place team. Sadly, it's the Brisbane Broncos, who, I mean, they showed definitely power against the Tigers. However, against the Tigers team that made only a couple signings like Sean Johnson. I think the biggest one was definitely Sean Johnson. Other than that,
against a Tigers team that has 0 gold players.
Yeah, they need to be better in the weeks coming if they want to have any chance of competing.
I just think that the Broncos are a mess at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, I think their selection hasn't been the greatest. We'll have to see how they I will say this to Monmouth's credit, who, if you don't know, is the Broncos coach. What I will say is everything wasn't half bad in the trial game. He kicked very good. He made a line break. I think he was decent in the trial game and probably one of their better players. However, again, he didn't perform when he needed to perform, just how it's we're getting used to it, but if he doesn't perform when he needs to perform. And it's happened again. unfortunately.
We were talking about Milford maybe being a surprise packet contender. Now he's been dropped.
He's been dropped to the bench. We'll get to that in a bit. I guess this sort of perfect lead way into the predicting the game. So the first, I guess we'll just go straight into it then. The first game we have is the Sea Eagles versus the Panthers.
I'm going for an upset here. Seagulls.
Obviously,
Seagulls 18 points to 8. No, 18 points to 6.
Obviously, Jilly, you coach one of these teams. Do you want to give us your rundown?
I'm going to speak my mind about this. Look, I think that we weren't the best against the Roosters, but I think the boys understand the significance of this game. If we win this game, we're really in it, like really, really in it. I think it'll be close, in my opinion. I don't think it'll be more than 6 points in it. I'm going to go with a bold prediction. I'm going to say Seagulls by 1 point in Golden Point.
Cool. Well, I'll give you my run through of this game. So, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm actually going to tip the Panthers. Now, the reason being is... This is my mindset for it,
Panthers,
right?
man.
No. All right, this is my reason behind it. So, the Panthers, they may have only won by 4, but they did beat a Rabbitohs side who is in 5th on the power rankings. They definitely can compete.
I don't rank. I reckon the Rabbitohs should be lower than what they are, but...
Well, the Seagulls beat a Roosters side who made barely any signings in the off-season. Considering, compared to other clubs that have barely any silvers, they probably didn't deserve to win that game. So I'm going to say Panthers by 2. I'm going to say it's a close game. I definitely think the Seagulls are going to be up for this game, but I'm going to still tip the Panthers. Because I think Panthers will be as much up for it as the Eagles are.
I like the confidence that the Panthers coach has shown in picking an exact same team. I don't think there's much to... Oh, no, he hasn't. He's dropped Jack Bird for Josh Curran.
Which is, I think that's an interesting decision, actually. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He did say in the press conference that Jack Bird may have had a bit of a neck problem, so maybe there's a bit of injury concern around it, but... Yeah, I don't agree with it at all. If he could play, why not pick him?
Yeah, I think Jack Bird's a better choice than Josh Curran. Unless there's something I'm missing.
And another reason I also think that the Seagulls can't laugh and win this game. I think the Seagulls are going to be a team that they will strike at the end of the season, and I think that the Seagulls are going to miss Cherry Evans a lot here, and I think that's what's going to cost them the game in the end. I think if they had Cherry Evans, I may tip Seagulls, but I think because I don't, I'm tipping Panthers here.
I like the Seagulls more without Cherry Evans.
I don't agree with that, but I think Piercy's going to stand up.
We'll have to wait and see how that turns out. We'll go to the next game in the round, the Knights versus the Roosters.
Okay, I'm going to go first for this one because I have very strong feelings about this game.
So do I.
I think it's going to be Roosters by 13 plus.
Ooh, big call.
I think that the Roosters will blow the Knights open just like the Eels did. I just don't think that the Knights have the team ready yet. They've got the squad there. It's just a little bit off.
The selection, is it? Yeah, okay. Well, that's the way that squad.
I don't like Franklin Pele.
Yeah, I do.
I think that he's rated under 80. Which I just don't think you should pick players that are rated under 80 in this.
Paul Turner's picked though, 73.
Yeah, and another few interesting decisions. I think I don't agree with the decision to bench Daniel Saifidi over Jordan McLean.
Oh yeah, I don't agree with that either.
I don't agree with the decision to drop Chad Townsend over Luke Brooks. I don't think it was Chad Townsend's fault they lost. I think, to be honest,
what I'll say about that selection is I think that's the only selection that I actually like.
I don't. Well, I mean, maybe it's because I don't like Luke Brooks. But I don't think that Chad Townsend... I think Chad Townsend had better stats. I know he played 20 more minutes, but he did... he really pretty much played 40 minutes. Because when he came on, he played it proper, did literally bugger all. So...
I just like the fact that he's actually picked one halfback rather than 2.
Yeah, I do think that's a good thing. And I think that...
Who was his halves for the first game?
It was Munster and Townsend, and he had Brooks and Townsend swapping. Yeah, I think... And I do actually think the right decision was to just pick and stick. However, I would have rather than pick Munster and Townsend at the beginning and just not pick Luke Brooks at all. And just stick with that one. Stick it to a magic round. If it's not working by magic round, then change it up a bit. That's what I would have done. but obviously he's gone with Brooks this time. And I think now that he's gone with Brooks, though, I'd like to see him sticking to at least round 5.
Yep, I'd agree with that. You got to stick with your decision. You can't, in my opinion, you can't go with a guy and then say he's our guy, but then next round you're like, oh, this guy's our guy. Next round, this
And-
guy's our guy.
Although, now this is the interesting thing. If he was starting Daniel Saifidi, I'd be tipping Knights. However, because of the decision to start Jordan Clean as well as a few other small ones, obviously the Franklin Pelly one, I don't think he should be playing. But because of a few small ones, and I am actually going to tip the Roosters by 4.
Yep. Decision. I think you're giving the Knights too much credit. I'm going. Roosters. I'm gonna go Roosters 22-0.
Big call there.
Yeah,
I
I think
guess
it'll be. I think it'll definitely be Roosters 13+.
I think
I can't see the Knights going anywhere close to the Roosters. I just can't. They don't have anything going for them.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out. I guess our next game we're going to have to watch out for is going to be between the Raiders and the Rabbitohs. Two teams that both lost the opening game. Very close, though. One team will remain with winless after this. The other team will obviously get their first win of the season. What are our thoughts on this game, boys?
Raiders attack is too concerning to pick. I'm going Rabbitohs by 10.
I mentioned this earlier, but I genuinely think whichever team loses this game will not make finals. I think this is a really important game.
I think I wouldn't go as far as say they wouldn't make finals, but I think whichever team wins this game will basically be a good push for them to push towards making that top 5.
The only reason I say that is because I see Seagulls, Panthers, Sharks, and Eels. That is, if the Eels just haven't been fluking it, making finals, and I think only one of the Raiders or Rabbitohs will get in.
Interesting decision. Obviously, well, anything can happen. It's rugby rule at 4, but I do think that, obviously those 4 teams are very. I think it's interesting this round because we have our first sort of clash between the top big 4 teams at the moment, being between the Sharks and the Panthers. And obviously, I think this Raiders-Rabbitohs game is a very important game I think, just to get their season started. I think this game can definitely kickstart one of these team seasons, and I think the other team is going to be very hard for them to push forward after this game.
I'm going to tip Rabbitohs by 4.
I'm going to go Raiders and Golden Point by 1. Jack White and field goal.
As I said, Rabbitohs by 10.
I think that this is going to be the game to kickstart the Raiders season. I think they're going to run from here.
I think the Raiders aren't going to do anything in this comp.
Big call.
Yeah, look, I think that this game will really mean a lot, I think.
Yeah, I just think it's very hard to start 0-2 and then especially in a 9-round competition, and then just be able to get momentum to continue on after that. Let's say you have to win. Keep in mind you can still miss. Like we've seen in other comps, that you can miss when you have when you win more games than you lose. Let's say even if you have to win 5 games and lose 4, that would mean you'd have to win 5 out of the remaining 7 games if they lose here.
Yeah,
that is hard. That would be hard to do. So, that'd be basically starting off a competition and being in 2nd or 3rd after 7 rounds. So, yeah, whichever team loses here, it's going to be very hard. Our next game of the round, though, we have the Tigers and Eels. What are our thoughts on this game?
Well, I think it'll be a good game.
I think this is going to be a interesting one. I think Eels will probably win, in my opinion. I think it'll be Eels by 8. But I'm excited to see how the Tigers play.
Yeah, I am as well. I think the Tigers against a good club, it'll be interesting. I think I'm gonna go something similar to what you said, Julie. I'm gonna go Eels by 6.
Yeah, look, as much as I'd like to look at the Tigers and think, I think that if they're gonna win, Sean Johnson and Dane Laurie have to absolutely and Stefano Utokumanu have to all be absolute gods in this game. And because of that, I'm gonna tip this Eels, but I'm gonna tip it. I'll say 12. I'll say Eels by 12. And the final game of the round, we have the Broncos versus Sharks. pretty much two opposite ends here. What if
I
let's
think
just
Liam is I think Liam's actually gonna like me for once. I'm gonna say Sharks by 13 plus.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Sharks by about 20. I'll get to the reasons why. I think that again, their selection criteria for the Broncos haven't been perfect. I think I do still respect the decision to play Milford at 6 after the trial game. He did play really well in the trial game. However, what I will say is that I do respect the decision to have him come off. I think that here's the thing. I don't know if it's necessarily right decision for him to play off just come off the bench. I don't know. I do respect the decision though. Here what I will say. I do respect the decision to have one utility and one forward come off the bench.
I don't like the fact that Milford's coming on for the Welsh though. I think I'd like the team a lot better if Milford came on in the middle.
In the
I think
middle.
we could see a similar thing with Chanel Harris DeVito and Paul Turner. And Milford's a lot higher rated as well, where I think Milford could be a really key player if he played in the middle. Maybe come off Pat Carrigan.
I'm just trying to.
Or maybe
I actually
Totola.
just noticed he's chucked Stags in the centers, which I actually didn't notice until now. To be honest, I don't agree with chucking Stags in the center. I think on rugby life 4 he's too quick and too strong to play just in the centers, considering how little ball for centers get.
I don't think Hunt should be 6. I think it should be Stags and Walsh at 1 and 6. You can swap them around. Walsh can play 6 or Stags can play 6. But I think those two should be the 1 and 6.
Nah.
And to be honest, I don't know if I'd chuck Hunt. I don't know if Hunt really works with this team at all anyway.
That's to be honest, you're not wrong. Because Hunt you got 2 halfbacks in the team.
I just don't think
it doesn't really work.
I don't think I think if he works anywhere, you play him on the bench and you don't play Milford. If he works anywhere.
Yep, that's the only place he works. Because he's not a 5'8".
I don't think Ben Hunt should be in the team. I think it should be Milford coming off the bench and then Stags.
I don't know. I just don't think Ben Hunt works at all in this team. He tried him at center. He didn't really do much at center. Walsh was
maybe at hooker.
Okay at center. Maybe bring him forward, but then maybe cross out. The only way
Hooker
I see
is the only place I can see him working.
The only place I see Hunt other than that working is maybe you bring him on for Pat Carrigan and play him at lock.
Yeah, maybe that. But that's the only 2 ways I see him fitting in.
Yeah, it's gonna be I'm really actually looking forward to how this game turns out, considering who are the new Broncos? They're the Sharks, and the Sharks are they're unchanged, the Sharks. I think it's gonna be an absolute blood water for the Broncos. I'm sorry, Wombat. I know you're probably gonna watch this. I'm sorry, but I think
I'm really concerned about the Broncos. They've got a really tough draw.
Yeah, they do, don't they? What's their draw coming up?
They've got the Sharks this week. Then they've got the Rabbits. Then they've got the Panthers. And then they've got the Raiders. Then they've got the Sea Eagles. And then they've
got the Eels. They're the either of the 2 easier teams until round 8 and 9. They could genuinely go without a win until round 7. That's scary.
Yeah.
That is. The only team I see them probably challenge it, they could challenge the Raiders or the Rabbitohs. But they have that's a really tough draw.
Look, the
Broncos. Look at that.
The Broncos, if they don't get their shit together quickly, I think that they're gonna have a really tough season.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. They have a really tough
think
draw
they'll beat the
coming up.
Rabbitohs, but they're bad here.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know. It could be.
I'll make my mind up on that when I see the team lists. But if we were to go with the current team list, I don't think that the Broncos beat the Rabbits.
I could agree with that, yeah. But I don't know. I just feel like the Broncos match up well to the Rabbitohs.
I don't know if I agree with that, but anyway, I guess is it about it for the episode then? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a few interesting games coming. I'm very looking forward to seeing how these games play out, and very excited to film them. I guess that's it from us. Do we want to do the outro now?
Yeah.
I guess that's it from us. I guess see you guys later.